If you are new here, I just want to say welcome to this YouTube channel called Little Troyer Farm. My name is Amanda, and my day starts pretty much like most other people's. I have little kids that need breakfast, and I try to start off the day with something nutritious, something with protein in it, like some eggs, just because otherwise in 5 minutes they're telling me, "Mommy, I'm so hungry." And so I try to get some good food into them in the morning. However, I'm not going to lie, since having kids, I'm not so much a morning person. After having those long sleepless nights where kids are constantly waking you up, it's been really, really challenging to want to get out of bed in the morning. Call me crazy, but I'm not a huge fan anymore. Most of the time, my husband is actually the one who is feeding the kids breakfast, so it is fairly often that they just get cold cereal because it's quick, it's easy, and you don't really have to put too much thought or effort into it. Not saying it's necessarily the healthiest option, but I do try to purchase some of the cereals that are maybe not quite as bad and sugar filled as the others. Not to say that it's a perfect breakfast, but that is the reality that we face right now with just being so busy lately. I often am climbing into bed at least by 10:30, 11 o'clock. And so those mornings, sometimes it's just a matter of getting food into those hungry little bellies before they start crying and falling apart. I will fully be the first one to admit that this is an area that needs improvement for sure, just because I think that breakfast is probably one of the more important meals of the day. But sometimes you just have to do what you gotta do to maintain your own sanity. Am I right? Anybody who's got little children probably get it. It's kind of those trade-offs, right? We don't typically eat out a lot. Most of our meals are made at home. This particular morning, I did make some scrambled eggs and toast for breakfast for myself and one other daughter who wanted eggs because she was still hungry after a bowl full of cereal. And so that's what I've been finding lately, where it's kind of a do what you can, where you can. I am aiming for improvement, not necessarily perfection. To be honest, this has been something that I have struggled with over the last couple years, especially, where I have overthought everything that is going into my babies' bellies and everything that they eat, and wondering, why am I not doing better, and why can't I be like somebody else who is maybe extremely crunchy kind of personality and lifestyle, and just thinking like, oh come on, why can't I be that good? I just about had a chance to sit down for breakfast, and then my baby needed a diaper change. And so before I even took a bite, I had to go change a diaper. And then finally sat down to be able to enjoy my own breakfast while feeding a few scoops of eggs to my 18-month-old baby. Something that I have learned over the last few years of juggling kids and animals and all sorts of other things, I have learned that it is of the utmost importance that you nourish your own body. I cannot tell you how many times I have not eaten properly only to start to feel just exhausted, fatigued. My brain is not working properly. I get frustrated with my kids, and I just feel like I'm not functioning well. Is usually a result of not nourishing my body with good food. When I was thinking about trying to put together a video like this, a true day in the life on this small farm type of idea, I can't only do the farm stuff, because that's not a true picture of what my day actually looks like. The majority of my day is spent doing the household chores and taking care of the small children, just doing regular life. I have to still do laundry. I still have to brush my teeth. I still have to clean the bathrooms. I still have to rearrange and declutter. I need to find clothes that fit my children. It's a constant juggling act between all of the tasks that I need to get done. And I would be lying if I said that I have a super well organized way of doing everything. typically, if I see something that needs to get done around the home, I just do it. Not all the time, but I try to pick things up as I go, fold laundry as I go. But in this case, some things started to pile up on me, like all of the dirty towels, and somehow my husband and our bedroom became a disaster. And so I really needed to reorganize and clean everything properly and just get things reset. Especially with it being summer, I do spend a lot more time outside versus maybe during the winter when it's really cold and we have lots of snow. I tend to find myself indoors a lot more. And so then all of those jobs, they really bother me until I finally take care of them. In this case, yeah, our bedroom's really nothing fancy. I am not an interior designer. I really don't love decorating. I have the basics of, a few pictures hanging on the wall. Nothing crazy as far as super duper cool colors on the wall, even, or throw pillows, all that sort of stuff. That's just not really my strength. I know others are really good at that sort of thing, and that's amazing. But for myself, we kind of just roll with the basics. At this point, it's about 9:40, which some of you might be like, "Really? You're just now going outside?" On this particular morning, I had a bunch of stuff that I had to get done before I went outside to do chores. So we headed out. Of course, I'm dragging all three of my little kids along with
Good
me.
girl.
The biggest struggle right now has been our little 18-month-old. She
Right.
still needs,
Good
obviously, a
girl.
lot of supervision, but she is very independent. And so I often will put her in a stroller or in a wagon, and then she watches as I go about all of the outdoor chores. First on the list is to feed all the goats and make sure that they've got water. Usually, a couple times a week, I will check their mineral situation, fill up their loose mineral if they need it. Overall, just make sure that I'm laying eyes on each one of the goats to make sure that they're all in good health and that there's nothing concerning that has come up. Let's talk for a minute about our choice to feed hay off of round bales versus the more convenient square bales that have little sections within the square bale. The biggest factor for us is honestly affordability. So we can purchase round hay bales for a lot cheaper than we can purchase square bales. Are square bales extremely convenient, super nice to handle? Absolutely. You can handle them without a tractor. You just use your own brute strength. The biggest thing with round bales, either you need like a truck and a big enough area where you could like use a tow strap and tow it around on your property, or buy small enough round bales where you could just roll them by hand to the place where you want them. Otherwise, you're going to need some sort of a tractor to use to move your hay bales around. Now, my mother in law has lent us the Kubota tractor for the last few years since we moved to our own property, and we are really, really thankful that she has been so generous as to lend that to us. I could not imagine trying to fork over the tens of thousands of dollars to buy a small tractor for a small homestead. That is where then a lot of the people go, well, I can't afford to buy a tractor, so I'm just going to buy squares because I can maneuver those by hand, is kind of the biggest argument there. But let's talk about actual prices. So right now, or I guess last summer, 2023, we were paying about 8.3 cents per pound for alfalfa mixed with maybe a bit of timothy and brome. 8.3 cents per pound for a round bale. So around $100 for a 1,200 pound bale versus the squares we're typically going for around, well, based on prices that I just saw this week, $12 for a 65-pound bale. Now, what does that work out math wise if we were to pay the square bale price for a round? We would be paying the equivalent of $221.54 for a round bale, which means that we are getting a round bale for $100 versus buying squares and paying $221 for that.
You can't play with that because that's not a toy. Mama's. How much of my chore time is actually spent like running back and forth because my small humans are getting into stuff. The older two aren't quite so much at that age, but The younger one, definitely. Now she's throwing a fit because I took it away from her.
Unfortunately, Lady got a little cut on her fetlock area, just below her fetlock, right above her hoof, in an attempt to move Sugar and Lady back to this pen with a shelter when all of a sudden a freak rainstorm showed up. I did the best I could trying to move both of them at the same time by myself. I had Sugar haltered and with a lead rope, and I just assumed that Lady would follow behind, which she did, but then Sugar didn't want to go anywhere. And so it was kind of this stuck moment where Sugar wouldn't move forward and Lady was still behind Sugar, and I could not get anybody to move. And so I ended up just putting the lead rope over Sugar's neck, and I actually grabbed Lady and started pushing her in front of me so that Sugar would follow behind. Now, once we got to the gate, I kind of ran into a bit of a problem, and Sugar did not, in fact, follow closely behind. So once went through that gate, Sugar was still way behind, and so I let go of Lady and went back to grab Sugar and encourage her to come, try to lead her through the gate. Meanwhile, Lady tried to climb through the barbed wire fence, and she caught her little leg on the barbed wire and she got a little cut. I went to the feed store and I picked up some first aid ointment to help prevent infection while it took time to scab over. There was no mobility issues at all. She was not limping. She was not gushing blood everywhere. It was very, very minimal. It kind of looked a little bit nasty just because of where it was, but she is healing up very, very well. And I just was regular putting ointment on it just to make sure that it healed up properly as per recommendations of the experienced people at the feed store. They said actually just leave it open unless she's absolutely covered in flies, which she was not. The flies seemed to leave it alone with putting that ointment on there twice a day, and she healed up really, really well with no mobility issues at all. I'm trying to encourage Lady to eat some full grain. She so far is not really interested in it. So I'm just trying to get them both started on some loose mineral as well. I don't want to feed too much of it too fast just because sometimes that can be harmful to their systems. Sugar is still not doing that well. She is still very, very sore. She's still in a lot of pain. Most of the things that we have tried have not helped at all, and we are continuing to talk to the experienced people in our lives who have been around horses for a long time, and they are giving us advice and pointers, and we will discuss more of her condition later. But for this video sake, we will move on to other things that have happened in this day.
Hey Grace, what's going on? We should get you some more fly spray. Oh, hi. Yeah, pretty girl. You look depressed. I don't know if it's just your face or what, but what's your deal? Why are you in my space? How are we supposed to say hi to you when you gotta be right in our face? Okay, well, after packing a small human around, my nice clean shorts are no longer clean anymore. Gracie has become best friends with this stump roots. She just is like itching on it, rubbing on it. She really likes that spot. I filled up 2 extra 5-gallon, 6-gallon buckets on top of this big trough just in case they needed extra, but I'm gonna check the water about 3 times today, I think. I'll check it at lunch, refill it if it needs, and then check it again tonight when I do evening chores. Over here.
like we said that rock. And can you get that one? That one's a really tiny one.
Ooh, I see you. 1, 2.
That's really good camouflaging.
I don't think she wants to be held right now. Yum. Apple, that's right. You want some apple slices?
Yeah. Apple.
There's one. Thank you. You say thank you.
Dinner.
Good job. Yummy. More? You like apples, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, they're yummy. Make sure you chew it.
At around 10:40, we were back in the house for snack, popsicles, trying to cool off on this super hot day. I decided to try and get some editing done and then proof watching while I tackled a little bit of my children's laundry. 12 o'clock was lunch, and I decided to make myself a bit of taco salad. We had leftover taco meat from supper the night before, and I love using up leftovers just because I honestly don't enjoy cooking all that much, and so I typically will make extra food for supper so that we have something for lunch the next day. If we don't, then our lunches are usually something along the lines of pepperoni and cheese and pickles and crackers or rice cakes, something like that. Something simple, something quick. On these hot days lately, it's been even worse trying to actually cook. All I want to eat is cold foods, and honestly, my meal ideas for summer meals the list is fairly small, and so we tend to eat taco salad a fair amount just because it's super light and it also is filling, and it's just really, really tasty. After lunch, I didn't record for a couple hours, but in that time, I put my youngest down for her afternoon nap. She usually sleeps a few hours anyway, maybe 2 or 3, depending on the day and depending how tired she is. And during that time, I do a variety of things, whether or not it's laundry or more cleaning up, as well as doing some video editing and just in general spending time with my older two kids as well. On this particular day, my mom ended up coming over and she brought me an ice cap and stayed for a little visit. The girls enjoyed some time coloring in their books as well as some bingo daughter activities, which I just purchased and they have been loving it. We went back outside for a quick animal check to make sure everybody had water and wasn't overheating.
You feel how nice and cool he is? That's because it's cool down there and it's hot up here.
At about 4:30, I had my usual daily panic of, oh no, what's for dinner? Especially during these hot days, I have had no motivation to cook. However, just because I'm not motivated to cook doesn't mean that I don't get to cook. Because we don't live somewhere where we get skip the dishes or any kind of food delivery options where we are, and so if I don't cook, then it's either toast and eggs, which I mean also involves cooking, or something not nutritious like eating cereal or something that is more snacky, which just does not cut it when you have a family that works hard and is busy little children who play hard. They need proper nutrients. So I decided to pull out some steaks. This is actually from an elk that I harvested last fall, and we enjoyed a steak dinner along with some potatoes. Everything was cooked on the barbecue just because I did not want to start the oven and heat up the house, and it just makes for a little bit of an easier cleanup at the end of it. I just dice up the potatoes really fine, mix them in with some nice seasonings, and then throw them into the tin foil.
That's beautiful.
And I'm gonna take this one out. And I got the octopus one.
Woo! Very pretty.
And it likes his hairstylist.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the hair.
I'm just grilling. That's all.
Mom, why is that stuff out? Why did this
So I can season the other side.
penguin is out too?
Oops.
I'm not going to. Mom and
Well, if you roll in the anthill, you're gonna get covered in ants. That's just how that works.
Mom, can you
Yeah.
hold it?
We have an anthill like right at the bottom of our stairs. So
Mom, can you
Wait,
hold
no,
it?
look at them all. Ew! No, go away, pups. Go. And they're red ants too, so they bite, and it's very painful. This whole thing right here is an anthill. We've tried cornmeal, we've tried vinegar. Gotta try some harsher chemicals, I think.
I totally missed the veggies with tonight's supper. I think I probably gave the kids maybe some sliced cucumbers or carrots during the day, but honestly, I don't remember. After supper was cleanup again, and at this time it was about 6:45 in the evening. My husband was reading the kids some stories on the couch while I got stuff cleaned up. I was struggling with a really bad sore throat, and so the idea of reading stories just seemed way more challenging than just cleaning up from supper. We love leftovers, and so typically nothing goes to waste most often. So I try to put things into containers in a way where it would make sense for lunch the next day, and then I don't really have to think that hard about lunch tomorrow. I'm not sure if you're on team leftovers or team I hate leftovers, but I know some of both. I know people that love leftovers and some people that absolutely won't touch them. I don't know. What are you? Once I got everything cleaned up and put away, we put the kids to bed, and by this point it was like 8:40 p.m. and I finally sat down with some nice warm peppermint tea and finished up some video editing. My throat is so sore still. It is Rose's turn. My husband Stan actually fed the animals for me tonight. Otherwise, a typical what does evening chores look like would be basically the same process of what I've done in the morning. All of the goats get fed, the doe pen as well as the buck pen get food. I check to make sure their water is all full, and then I make sure that Sugar and Ladybug have feed and water as well. My husband took care of them tonight, and he spent some time outside with the horses, and then I was able to focus on milking, getting the milk filtered, and put away in a timely manner. I was trying some new whiskey ice balls. I'm not sure how else to describe them. They're basically like stainless steel balls that you can use instead of ice for like a glass of whiskey. And I've seen some people use them for their milk pail. So basically, the goal with milk handling is to get that milk to chill as quickly as possible. So I put these frozen stainless steel balls inside of the milk pail, and then I pour it from the small pail that I milk into the bulk pail, which I'm pouring out of right now. And then that just helps it to chill the moment that it hits the pail. It obviously does start to chill a little bit, but again, you're trying to make that process as fast as possible. So this was my first time actually trying this out, and it was 77 degrees Fahrenheit versus coming inside and it's sitting at about 90. So I'm thinking that it definitely cuts down on the time it takes to chill the milk overall. Right now I'm still throwing it into the freezer to chill it as rapidly as possible, and then once it's chilled, like once it feels cold, the jar feels cold to the touch, then I put it in the coldest part of the fridge. This filtering process honestly takes so long and it drives me crazy. I would really, really love to be able to get a milk machine just to make the whole job faster, as well as you can put inline milk filters in there as well so that it actually filters the milk before it even hits your bulk tank. and then you literally just take that bulk tank inside and you pour it straight into your clean jars, which I think would just be so helpful. I purposefully left this filtering video full and pretty much complete instead of breaking it down into chunks, just because this is the reality. Sometimes it's just slow and it takes a lot of time, and you just have to sit there and wait and be patient. And that's just the way this routine is right now. On an entirely different note, I am only 2 months into creating videos on this YouTube channel and probably could have guessed that my editing skills are not that of a professional. I am not super tech savvy, and so I apologize if I don't do it perfectly or if there are editing mistakes. I try to catch them as best as I can, but hopefully, if there's ever a mistake, you just kind of chuckle along with me because I am far from perfect and I'm still figuring things out. However, I would love to ask you guys for some input as well as if you think that you are capable of it. Giving constructive criticism or constructive feedback on maybe some different areas where I could improve and maybe work on my skill. Things like, do you enjoy the background music? Do I talk too much in the background? Do you like the voiceovers, or do you like things as they happen, part of the video with no music, just kind of raw and real the way that it is? Obviously, that takes much less time trying to edit it and put it together, but I'm interested and curious what you guys would have to say. I know there was a few people who were interested in a day in the life vlog. I hope that this doesn't disappoint, although to be quite honest, I am not really sure how this video is going to go over, and that's okay. All you can do is try and see if you can answer people's questions and show them a little bit of our life. For a last ditch effort trying to get my throat to feel better before breaking out the pain meds, I actually did a warm salt water and thieves essential oil gargle, and it was horrible. It tasted so bad. And honestly, I don't really know if it helped at all, but I figured, hey, I'd give it a shot. But it was awful. So this was my last stop before hitting the hay, and it was like 10:40 at night and I was bushed.